guys and gals, never here from Drake Wayne Gaming. Some of you know me on Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you in the Let's Play episode of Violet Memoir, Leigh's Path. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back into it. Shall we? Alarm chain, you were up and let's go. Alright. Anyway, do you see this little one here? That's her. She told me about this family photo when I stayed here. According to her, it's tradition in their family to have a photo once their child has turned 5. And that tradition looks to be dying to me. Dying with me. The voice comes from above, and all of us turn to the top of the stairs where a large grizzly bear is slowly trotting down the stairs, taking time to scan her eyes over all of our group. From the way her smile lights up upon seeing Leigh, it makes the excitement coming off of her palpable. I can't stop myself from joining her, and it looks like the others have too, even Leigh. I have too many children to worry about already. I can't afford to be adding my own. Now let me get a look at the two of you. Come here. She picks up the pace until she's scooping the three of us into a giant hug, squeezing us against the largest bosoms I've seen in my entire life. I'm so tightly pressed that I can't even move my arms to return. It doesn't look like the others are faring much better. Leigh looks like he's about to die from embarrassment the way his face and ears have lit up is any indication. The moment she releases us, I'm able to take the most refreshing breath I've ever felt in my life. The bear hugs my uncle used to give me during Christmas could never compete with hers. Let me get a good look at you, girl. You've grown up so much. Your brother better be feeding you right. If he isn't, I'll beat his ass. You know he is. He's always making a fuss about me. He's such a pain in the ass. Leigh doesn't interfere, but from the way his lips are pursed and their glances in his direction, it's very clear they're saying this about him on purpose, but Leigh isn't taking their bait for a second. That only seems to please Miss Corin even more. Come on now. That's not very fair to him. You know he cares more than anyone else. I can't name many people who'd give up their own lives for their sister. Do you? No, I'm thankful for that. I swear, he's such a mother hen. Don't give him such a hard time. Now let me get a closer look. I need to squeeze those cheeks. Ah! While Charlie's being thoroughly and physically examined by the bear, I'm able to get a peek at Leigh. He's trying to look aloof, but just from how deep the shade of pink in his ears are, it's clear their words are getting to him. It's strange seeing Leigh like this. I've seen him embarrassed, but this is the first time I've ever felt like he's truly out of his element. He's usually so calm and collected. His eyes occasionally flick over to mine, only to immediately retreat to anywhere else in the room. He looks almost anxious to be back, but there's an excitement to the lashing of his tail. He must be happier to be back here than he's letting on. Now, who's this little guy here? This is Wallace. He's Ashley's boyfriend. How lovely. Charlotte. Wait, hold on. We're not dating. We're just friends. We met through a group project for our media class. Well, you might as well be with the way you two... Leigh's glare is stabbing daggers into his sister, and she finally gets the message to shut up, but only after giving a smirk and a wink in my direction. One that Miss Corin clearly catches. I'm able to finally get a good look at the older woman. She looks to be just in her late 40s and very plump. There's a softness to her that makes you just want to dive into hug. She's wearing a full-body orange dress that's covered in flowers, all of which are warm colors. Despite its large and loose size, it's still tight around her chest to compensate for her large bosom. Despite some cleavage, she still has an aura of classiness that makes you want to address her properly. The pattern of her fur is the exact same as the little girl in the photo Charlie pointed out. Its color is an earthy brown that reminds me of the trunks of trees. The trunks of trees. But the true eye-catcher is the white patch of fur around her muzzle, looking like someone just had a little flour accident while making bread. She's wearing a tiny pair of glasses that barely fit on the edge of her nose. Their size and shape indicates that they're for reading, but they also help give her the image of a welcoming grandmother you can't wait to hug. Well, it's nice to meet you, Wallace. It sounds like you're a good friend to Ashley. That's good. You never had many friends, only passing faces. Leigh just gives a huff at that, but the barely hint of a curl at the corners of his mouth destroys any attempt he's making at trying to look annoyed. Something that Miss Corin looks overjoyed to see. It's nice to meet you too, Miss Corin. No, darling, don't call me that. Only the young'un do. It's just Bethany between us adults. No Beth, though. That's my grandmama. Sorry. It's nice to meet you too, Bethany. Aren't you a gentleman? This boy is much nicer than the ones you usually brought home, Ashley. He's such a sweetheart. I hope you're not as rough as you are with those boys. We're not dating, Miss Corin. Don't listen to Charlie. You know she just likes to stir shit up. Language, young man. Sorry, stir stuff up, ma'am. The interaction didn't even feel real, but from the one Charlie immediately breaks into heaving laughter, only to be immediately met with scolding from Leigh, makes it very clear that it really did just happen. I've never seen Leigh talk to someone with such respect. You must be a good friend if he's willing to be so protective of you. Ashley always was one to care a little too much about those he's close with. I'm trying my best. We only met recently, but Lee's already been such a good friend to me. It's nice to have someone as great as him helping me out. Well, I'd say you're doing a great job. Now she turns to Lee from the way the possum stiffens. This is likely what's been keeping him nervous this entire time. Ashley, look at you. You're like a different man, all grown up. Graham said you completely changed your style, and I didn't believe him for a second, but look at you.
I go by Lee now.
Oh, that's a lovely name. Well, Lee, what brings you here after all this time? I have a feeling it isn't to catch up.
Lee looks over towards Charlie, who nods at some hidden arrangement between the two of them. She tugs on the older woman's sleeve, quickly bringing her attention.
Do you know if Juliet's still around? We haven't seen each other in years. It's hard to meet up when she doesn't go to Winter Vale. She just got home shortly before you. She's out back with Eve. They're still together? Of course they are. Ah, young love.
They're gonna go far. Juliet was willing to get kicked out of her house for her. That's commitment. Stupid commitment, but I'm always impressed by her.
Miss Corin notices my confusion and leans down to whisper into my ear, though it's pointless since she doesn't hush her volume whatsoever, allowing everyone to hear exactly what she's saying. Eve's trans. Juliet's mother was alright with her being a lesbian, but threw a fit when she found out she was dating a trans girl. Poor girl didn't deserve any of what that nasty woman said. At least she's got a wonderful girlfriend and loving parents. I'll catch you guys when you're done. Wallace, I'll have to show you around the place and meet everyone. Alright, that sounds fun. It is, trust me, and Miss Corin souped this place up. There's even a dry sauna room for reptiles in the winter. Isn't that amazing?
That does sound amazing. I've heard of some modern houses being custom built with those inside of them, but I've never heard of someone renovating their house for it. This place is pretty huge. I wouldn't be surprised if there's even more.
Anything for my little babies. I just wish I had more space. There's only so much room and too many children.
How many are there? How many are still here? Lee's question catches me off guard with how quiet he's been this entire visit, but it allows me to gain enough awareness to realize that Charlie's already disappeared. She must have gone to find Julia and Eve.
A few kids have gone off to college, and so there's a little less people now, but we still have around 15 kids. 15? All in one house?
It was more when I lived here.
What? Sadly, it's true. This is the start of the school year, and it's always a lower time of the year. Kids have just left for college, after all, but we always get a few over the course of the year.
There was around 20 when I stayed here.
Lee sometimes had to sleep on the floor on a mattress when I ran out of beds. I have a lot of room, but only so much.
We had an otter who'd sleep in the pool just to save space.
Oh my god! We always manage. We've never run out of places to sleep yet. Kyle just wanted to make sure we had enough space, just in case. He's such a sweetie. He still comes around to help out when he can. Suddenly a group of early teens burst through the door, and the three of us are forced to step to the side as they run through the doors, only to get immediately scolded by Miss Corin. They slow down to a walk after that. That might be a sign for us to have a seat. Follow me to my sitting room, Wallace. Lee already knows where it is, but this is your first time in our lovely abode. She wraps an arm around my back, gently guiding me towards the room on the left. I've noticed all the doors are wide open and wedged in place. I can only assume that's to stop any of the very energetic kids from hurting themselves while they play. From what we saw earlier, it doesn't look too uncommon for them to run through the house. We pass another young feline coming down the stairs, someone who couldn't be older than 13. The moment she saw us, she scurried away around the corner into what I can only assume to be a kitchen. There's so many more kids here than I was expecting. The first thing I notice about the sitting room, other than the close proximity to the front entrance and the neighboring office that must belong to Miss Corin next to it, is just how elegant the furniture looks. The whole room looks like something from the 1920s. There's enough chairs and sofas in here to easily seat 10 people, let alone the amount of cushions scattered around the wide carpet area. Sorry about all the mess. It was board game night last night, and I haven't gotten around to cleaning yet. New college school year means a lot of disappearing students, which means a lot of paperwork. So you know, water time. You do board game nights?
It was for the young kids, especially new ones. They're shy, so we had them try and help them make friends. Charlie used to come and play whenever we did it too.
The kids love the two of you. You're so good with kids, and Charlotte was such a charming little girl. She's gotten a lot more feisty since I last met her, I can tell.
She's a brat, I know.
How dare you? She's an innocent princess. She gives me an overly dramatic wink before doing a little shuffle towards the largest single seat in the room. Like the rest of the furniture, it's well worn with age but filled with character. Don't feel so afraid. Take a seat, preferably in the sofa across from me, both of you. I want to see the boy that caught Lee's attention. He wasn't one for bringing boys he was actually interested in home.
I told you not to...
Shush, I want to hear from Wallace, dear.
Leigh just huffs and sits on the sofa, crossing his arms in a mild act of rebellion. It's surprisingly childish for someone like him. I guess this place is bringing back some older habits.
Leigh didn't bring anyone over? No, he brought boys over all right. Sometimes I wish he brought a little less. Poor Kyle walked in on them one afternoon.
I turned my attention to the possum, my eyes wide in disbelief. He mentioned that he was a little promiscuous when he was younger, but I didn't think he'd do stuff like that.
He doesn't meet my eyes. In fact, he looks to suddenly be much more interested in the many decorative items littering the walls.
Only breaking to meet our gazes once the silence lingers for too long. No one used the indoor pool besides Kyle. It's too small except to cool off. He was supposed to be visiting his sister.
But she had a delay, and the poor boy got an awfully big shock when he came in. You're lucky all the other kids were playing outside, or else it would have been much worse.
It wasn't a big deal.
I know, and I'm glad you did it, or else I wouldn't have met little Victor. Could you imagine if he had to stay out in the cold another night?
The name catches my attention, but now Lee's embarrassment has dissipated entirely, and he's just watching me out of the corner of his eye. A little smirk teasing the edge of his lips.
Wait, as in Victor, the rat who works at the garage? He's still working there? That's good. I was worried he'd drive Graham up the walls. And then again, he always had a soft spot for the boy. Well, I guess he wasn't a boy when they met.
You helped him get the job?
Of course. I couldn't have just sent the poor boy off by himself once he turned 18, so I pulled some strings and managed to get him a place with Graham.
Do you do that for everyone?
Only those who need it. Some people's home situation gets better, they all go off together to share an apartment. Victor just had issues getting along with most of the other teens. He only talked to Leigh.
It's okay. Thank you for doing that for him. If there's anything we could do to repay...
Nonsense. All I ask is for the two of you to visit often. I want to see how he's doing.
I'll let him know.
I'll be waiting. Now, Wallace, stop standing there like a fool and sit down next to Leigh. I know you two didn't just come to catch up, or else he'd have come a long time ago. There's a slight sharpness to her words that reminds me of whenever my mother would catch me staying up late. It seems like guilt works on Leigh just as effectively as his ears squish against his skull.
I don't hesitate to join him on the sofa, but the moment my butt touches the soft surface, the two of us sink towards the middle until we're pushed up against each other. No one directly comments on it, but a barely audible chuckle from the bear feels louder than any words could. Leigh tries to keep his composure and succeeds for the most part. The only hint is the slight flushing of his nose. This whole situation is making him more susceptible to embarrassment than normal. Even this morning when things got close, he managed to keep his cool. I don't remember when I started noticing all these small things about him. With how little he expresses himself, you just pick up these little things. The bear has been waiting patiently for the answer to her inquiry. Now that I've completely forgotten what it was actually about with all that just happened. I'm sorry, what were you saying before? I got a little, distracted.
It's okay, dear. Don't feel so intimidated. I was just curious about what you came over for. Did you need a place to stay again, or was it for you?
She looks at me with gentle eyes. Her inviting smile and comforting demeanor makes it clear she isn't joking in the slightest. If I needed a place to stay, she'd take me in. I've never met someone as selfless as this wonderful woman.
No, it's nothing like that. We were just... How do I go about asking this? She's just a lovely lady, and I don't want to bring up something that's likely an awful memory for her. After all, how nice she's been to me after just meeting me. She must have been so nice to Mercy and Helena.
Thankfully, Leigh notices that I'm having a dilemma and puts a stop to my bumbling with a hand on my shoulder. We're here to talk about Mercedes Hills and her friend, Helena Lawson. She used to help out around here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Before I go, I'm going to give a quick shout out to our lovely bronze tier patrons. Thank you all for all I do for the channel. We greatly appreciate your support. Thank you to our silver tier patron, Katie Silver. Thank you for going above and beyond. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you to our gold tier patron, Teresm Guy. You're awesome. We love you. Thank you for subbing to Ultimate Tier. Anyway, if y'all want to get your names in the credits, get access to all of our not safe for work content as little as $5. Alrighty, I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.